Welcome to the Serenity Resource Connector Community Corner Live Forum. We are honored to have with us the Honourable Pearnel Charles Jr. MPJP, along with the Chief Technical Director and the Director of Social Services out of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to discuss PATH. That's the Program of Advancement Through Health and Education. This forum is about empowering you, our viewers, and for those who will be watching the replay, with the knowledge you need to access vital benefits and understand how PATH is transforming lives across Jamaica. So listen out for those success stories. Stay tuned, take notes, and don't hesitate to ask your questions during the live Q&A. You can post your questions while the discussion is going on, but we'll take them in the Q&A segment later on. So let's get started and make this an engaging and impactful session. Feel free, it's community inside here, so feel free to share where you're joining us from. All right, already we have a number of people in the comments. Someone was on from 5:40, counting down 2 hours before start time. Let me apologize for the late start. We're usually promptly at 8. I am your host, Winsome Sherrier Witter. Always a pleasure to facilitate these awesome discussions here so we empower the community. So let's get Minister Charles on to get the conversation rolling, and then we'll bring on the other team members. Welcome back to Serenity Resource Connector, Minister.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope you're hearing me clearly.
Hearing and seeing you clearly.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
All right, so let's lay the groundwork, because most of us would have heard of PATH, know somewhat about PATH, but what's the overarching goal of PATH in supporting vulnerable families?
PATH is perhaps one of the most popular, well-known flagship programs in the country. And the goal is really to help vulnerable families who need the support in more than just providing benefit through a financial grant, but PATH is much more. PATH is also providing support for students who are on PATH at school. It's providing support for students who are on PATH through scholarships. It provides opportunities for work programs, for internship programs. It provides support for pregnant and lactating mothers, and several other things. The goal for us is to make sure that we are identifying the right people to be on PATH, the right people to stay on PATH, and also the persons who shouldn't be on, that they're off PATH and on the right path. So we want persons to come off and to be independent. And so recognizing that your government, we started out in 2023 by starting a review of the program. That review saw us going across the country to our parish offices, interacting first with our staff to try and find out from their perspective what were the challenges they had in terms of interacting with clients, in terms of the software, in terms of the processes, in terms of the system that was used to evaluate persons, in terms of the process to evaluate the homes, and then to speak to clients and to get stakeholder feedback through a raft of engagements that we had, forums from different parishes, giving persons an opportunity to pepper us with questions as well as to just express themselves, express their own experiences, whether positive or negative, with the program, and to tell us whether they were a guidance counselor working at a school or a mother who was trying to get onto PATH with her family and didn't get on, or somebody who successfully was on the program, came through the program's benefits, and now was doing much better. We looked on all different perspectives, and we continue to do so because this PATH review is going to be instrumental in ensuring that this very important program is improving. And by improving, it doesn't mean that PATH has not had a good impact. PATH has had a massive positive impact so far. But our goal is to make sure that it has the best and it unlocks its best potential. And so the review is ongoing. to ensure that we can look on all of the parameters, all of the elements in terms of even the process of someone coming to be evaluated, the time that they have to wait, how they can appeal if it is that they don't get through to path initially, what are the various considerations in terms of them staying on path or being renewed on path over time, and just what the ultimate goal is, which is not to see more and more persons on path, but quite the opposite, to ensure that those persons who need help are getting well structured, significantly impactful help that helps them now to become autonomous, independent, and successful in their own right. And we have several examples of individuals who we have spoken to over the last year and a half who have been on path and are now successful and have come back to inspire others, to let them know that this is a program that works, but we want it to be a program that becomes even stronger in the impact by improving it and unlocking all of its potential for Jamaica.
A lot there. And I've been seeing some of the success stories that are shared on the social media platform.
Yes.
Really fantastic thing going on there. All right, so let's get our Chief Technical Director and Director of Social Security on. All right, welcome, Lady Suzette Morris, Director of Social Security.
Thank you for having me. Good night.
Pleasure. All right, and as we wait for Lady Audrey Dear Williams, all right, here she is, Chief
right
Technical
here.
Director. Welcome.
Thank you for having me as well.
All right, you're sounding a little low now, Mrs. Williams.
I didn't do anything with my volume.
All right. All right, we're going to have to listen keenly to make sure we hear you clearly, because we're going to go in now so that we'll look at the types of benefits. Let's hear more about the specific benefits. Just by the name, we know that health is involved and all those good stuff, but go ahead and share with us the benefits that PATH offers. Who's going to take that one?
Suzette, you can go ahead.
Okay, so we have several benefit categories on PATH. We have children 0 to 6 and from 6 to 18 or to the end of the high school, the secondary school period. We also have a category for persons with disabilities and pregnant and lactating mothers. In addition to the bi-monthly benefits, so these categories of persons are paid a bi-monthly benefit. But in addition to that, children who matriculate to tertiary education, we have a tertiary bursary and also a post-secondary grant that students who matriculate to higher education can access. We have a Steps to Work program, and the Steps to Work program is our program that offers working age members of the family intervention. So we have an on-the-job training intervention. We have a skills training intervention through partnership with HEART, and we also have a micro-business grant intervention that working age members of PATH families can access. PATH students, even though this is not administered by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, PATH students in school also benefit from the lunch program, a school feeding program.
All right, quite a bit there. And already we have in the chat, Romeo on the day, classic JM876 says that every day he learns something new about PATH, as he always takes time to go to have conversation with the MLS staff. Romeo is in Clarendon. We have a number of persons from Clarendon here. We'll take the others as we go along, but just highlighting that comment for now. All right, let's look at the eligibility criteria. Who qualifies for PATH benefits and how are beneficiaries selected? There's something in the chat here about someone who submitted a form and waiting for a response. So let's clarify that part, the eligibility aspect. We're not hearing you.
All right, go ahead, Suzette. I don't know what's happening here.
All right, we're hearing you now. You're loud and clear now.
Janet, I apologize for that. Before I do address the issue of eligibility, you had asked earlier, you said you figured health was involved because of the name. So I just wanted to clarify that PATH is a conditional cash transfer program. And so the conditions that you have to meet to maintain your payment involve both health and school attendance. So Ms. Morris indicated that children 0 to 6 are usually in the health category. So in order to maintain your payments, in order to continue getting the benefit, you're required to attend the health center at specific times. Similarly, for children who are in school up to the high school level, they are required to attend school 85% of the time in order to get the benefit. So that is how health is involved with PATH. And this is in an effort to ensure that we are developing the human capital. And Minister referred to that earlier as part of the objective of the program. Now, who qualifies for PATH? I want to say, in order to determine qualification, first, persons have to go to our parish offices and make an application. We have an extensive application form where we try and get as much information as we can on your family. Based on the information that you put in, once you are determined to be poor, you will be provisionally accepted by the program. So everyone has a right to apply for the program. However, you need to be assessed. So you do this form. We determine that you are poor based on our metrics. You're provisionally approved. Our social workers then have to go out and just check that the information that you have put on the form is correct. And once everything checks out, you're accepted into the program.
All right. So determined to be poor and metrics. What are some of those metrics? I'm sure that might be a question that someone has on the tip of their tongue there.
So we have a beneficiary identification system that it's a means test. It's not based on it's based on your consumption, not your income. So the information that we gather from your form will determine whether you are how you are consuming. So if you have a lot of consumables, it is determined that you may not be a fit for the program. However, persons who, for the most part, you can determine that they are not perhaps eating sufficiently, because we ask questions: how often do you eat, get a full meal, how often, what kind of consumable items you have in your home. Those are the sort of questions we have. And it, in fact, impacts us in that persons usually say if you have fridge and stove and washing machine, you cannot get onto PATH. And that is not true. We look at a number of variables, a composite of variables, to determine whether you fall in the lowest quintiles of consumption, quintiles 1 and 2, and those are the persons we normally accept into the program.
All right. What specific documents are required, if any, during the application process?
So you are required, the head of the family is required to have their identification, birth certificate, and TRN. You're also required to have birth certificate for all the members of the family. For persons with disabilities, you have requirements for further documentation because you're required to complete a form that your a medical doctor will have to certify that you have this disability.
Okay, there was an eligibility, but we'll take the questions in a little while. So we'll look at the eligibility application process. What's the general turnaround time? What time frame should an applicant expect to get a response in?
In fact, as I said, once you complete the form in our office, or I shouldn't say in our office only, but because sometimes we do outreach and we go out to communities. But once you complete that form, we can tell you based on how you score, whether or not you are provisionally accepted for the program. And based on that, well, you will continue the process of application.
All right. We start these comments coming in and questions so we don't miss them. All right. Let's look at impact. I'd love to hear about what's going right on the program. So can you share some of those success stories, how it has positively impacted families in local communities? Minister started by sharing about persons who have successfully utilized the program and are now in a position to be off to inspire others. So share with us some of those stories.
So going back to the minister said that we had gone out and heard from all our stakeholders. Even at those events, we had persons giving testimony about the impact the program had on them. We had persons who had graduated and are now doctors and lawyers and engineers. We've even had Rhodes Scholars who are former members of the program. So we believe that we've had a positive impact.
And I can add quickly to that. I spoke earlier about our tertiary bursary. So on average now we have over 4,000 path beneficiaries in universities across the island that we provide a tertiary bursary to.
All right, we'll go a little further in that in a little while. So there are a lot of questions, so we are going to get right into the questions. But I must ask though, based on some of the questions I'm seeing here, what's the turnaround time standard from the ministry?
Turnaround time, yes. I know I'd forgotten a part of the question.
Yes.
The turnaround time. So our standard is that once you are accepted, you should start receiving your payment within 2 payment cycles. A payment cycle is 2 months.
Okay.
So once you are accepted into the program and you have signed your agreement, within 2 payment cycles, you should start receiving your payment.
All right. So the applicants, are they to expect a call whether they are successful or not from their local office?
Well, what I was trying to say earlier is that once we do the assessment, once you complete the form and we run it through our beneficiary management information system, we get a score for you. If you are below our cutoff score, you are provisionally approved. And you are told that you are provisionally approved. You're also told that a social worker will visit your home and complete an assessment. Because as I said earlier, we have to ensure that what you've put on the form is accurate and complete.
Okay, and after the assessment, what happens then?
Then within 2 payment cycles, you should start receiving your payment.
All right.
So if I completed the application, where are we now? January. By the April, and all goes well, by the April payment. So we pay bi-monthly. We pay February and every other month during the year from February. And so 2 payment cycles after you're approved, you will start receiving your cash grant.
All right, great. All right, Classic JM, it is a pleasure to be at one of the best social media space. Oh, thank you very much. Try to keep it informative, educational, inside there, and inspiring. All right, Carrie-Ann is saying that she tried to get her nephew, a special needs child, on the path for the longest while. She did the form and still waiting for a response. Carrie-Ann, based on what was shared just now, were you provisionally approved? Let us know if you were provisionally approved or not, and we can take it from there.
If she could leave some information, because we can check to see what is happening. Clearly not on air, but we can check for her to see what's happening.
All right. Shadane, sometime my child cannot go to school, and when I collect they take off a lot out of it. Why is that so? Are there deductions?
So CTD said it earlier. It is a conditional cash transfer. One of the conditionalities is school attendance. There is a requirement for 85% school attendance. So if a child falls below the 85%, they will get a base benefit, but certainly not the full benefit, because the aim of the program in breaking intergenerational poverty is to ensure that the child attends at school as much as is possible. So you will not be paid if you fall below the 85% compliance rate.
We try to, that's how we incentivize school attendance, because we feel once you're educated, you're more likely to not be in poverty.
All right, makes sense. All right. Rumi has a comment here. The Step to Work program is a very good one for sure. Just hope the beneficiaries could take it up. All right. We have a number of community leaders in this space. So community-based organizations, community development committee, development area committee chairpersons, and a number of other justices of the peace. How can community members help to push some of these programs?
Well, definitely CTD spoke to the outreach activities. So once you're having outreach activities, you can extend an invitation so that we can come in and provide the information. We can provide you with brochures and other materials. Also, while for the most part, the PATH program is self-reporting, self-referral, we do accept referrals from community leaders. So you identify a family that you know is in need, we accept a referral, and a social worker will do the necessary follow-up.
Yeah, for sure. And something we perhaps need to mention is that there's a PATH, it's Ministry of Labor and Social Security, but a lot of persons call it the PATH office. There's one in every parish. And so, you know, it is accessible in that way. So they can refer persons to the parish offices.
All right. Good night. My grandchildren last year were sick when a flu virus was out, only to find out they are off path. They were refused benefits at school. I had to get a formal. This one is incomplete, Brenda. But they were taken off. All right. So we could outline what would cause the child to be taken off path based on the stipulations from the ministry. What are some of the conditions?
I think we would perhaps need to get more information, because sickness would be an excused absence. And the only other thing I could think of, if you do not collect your benefit in 2 cycles, then you are suspended. Your payments are suspended, and a social worker will have to visit to reinstate the payment. But again, I think we would need to get some more information to be more definitive.
All right.
And just to say too, that the child might have been sick with the flu and at home, but that would have had to be reported to the school. So the school would have had to be informed that this was happening. So
Right, because I believe the general requirement is once a child is out of school for an extended period, then a sick leave should be presented, and then that
Right.
would be proof.
Right. That's an excused absence, yes.
Yes, all right. And I would imagine if there's no collection for 2 cycles, it might mean that your financial situation has changed, and you no longer need the PATH monies. So you have to make sure
So
that
we
it's
have to come and ensure that you are still in need. Persons migrate.
That's
There are
true.
so many things can happen. So,
yes.
we need to ensure, as Minister said, that the right persons are receiving the benefit.
All right. All right, let's take this one. My daughter is in high school, and that school does not deal with PATH and the school fee. There are schools that don't handle PATH.
I believe private schools,
Okay.
but public schools,
All public schools.
all public schools.
All right,
So
Shadeen.
I'm wondering though if she's saying that because she mentioned the school fee.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's a particular issue there, but as I said earlier, all public schools, the children can accept PATH.
Shadeen, clarify that so you can get your response live. All right, move on to this one, Rita. My daughter just left high school with her subject and would like to go in the medical field on the path. She was taken off path, but I need some help for her. How can I go about getting the help? You did mention that there are several on.
So while her daughter in tertiary, at the tertiary level, would not get a bi-monthly benefit, she would still qualify for tertiary bursary. So she can still get the bursary once she was receiving the payment before. She just would no longer be getting that bi-monthly benefit.
Okay, all right.
Suzette, we should mention that the bursary is $100,000 per year, starting from the first year of university. In the second to the fourth year, they will need to maintain a GPA.
2.5.
All right.
Maintain 2.5 GPA.
Rita, I hope you heard that. And I'm sure I saw where one of the ministries, I think it's the Ministry of Health, were offering scholarships for that field. So that's something that you can look into as well, Rita, as additional resources. All right. But let's use this one to clarify when a student is transferred from one school to another, whether by request or they have left primary school and moved on to high school, what's the requirement in terms of the communication so that they are put on the path for their respective institutions?
So they continue receiving the benefit. They would need to go to the parish office to report the school change.
All right. I hope you heard that. So you need to report so that records are updated.
Right.
Let's see this one, Simone. I want to know if a child with disability can get help from PATH.
Yes, there is. As I said earlier, there is a category of benefit for persons with disabilities, but we have to also advise that PATH is, while it is our flagship program, PATH is certainly not the only program that addresses vulnerabilities in the ministry. So I would encourage anyone with a child with disabilities to also register that child with Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, because there they can also access benefits, they can get their assistive aids and other assistances through that means. But yes, there is a benefit category on PATH for children with disabilities, and we have our early stimulation program for children with disabilities 0 to 6. That's another program offered by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. You know, we leave no one behind. Whatever the vulnerability is, there is a program for you.
All right. Katrina, this was answered earlier. If you missed it, you can watch the replay. How I would like to know how to apply. So you can watch the replay or look out for a blog recap on Monday. We will respond to it there. All right, 2 years after my neighbor died, the officer turned up. So it seems it takes years. That's not what was shared here. What would cause something like that though? 2 years.
So we have to admit that there are instances. It can be a case where we are awaiting additional documentation. We know that our social worker, the social worker verification visit has to be conducted. There are sometimes when we have challenges because there are limited numbers of social workers in some instances. However, it should not be taking 2 years. So if it is taking 2 years, you probably need to visit the parish office to find out what is happening and ensure that all outstanding documentation is presented.
All right. Shadeen, if the child is on path and she's going to do her CXC, is path responsible for at least some of the fee? And I believe there's another question here similar to that one in terms of.
So we know that the CSEC fees for path beneficiaries is highly subsidized. So path beneficiaries pay significantly reduced rates for CSEC. It is not paid through the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, but it is paid by the Ministry of Education. So once the child is on path, their CSEC fees are very heavily subsidized.
All right.
And
Do you
again,
know the
that
specific
reinforces.
number? Do you know the
Sorry?
specific number of subjects that the ministry would pay for?
No, we could get
Yes,
that
the school
information and
usually communicates that.
provide it to you. Not
Okay.
certain, but I know that it's heavily subsidized. Path beneficiaries pay a very small portion of the fees for CSEC, but we can get that information for you.
All right. So look out for additional information in our blog post on the website, serenityresourceconnector.com. Okay, let's take this other one. Roxanne applied about 3 years and didn't get any call from, she didn't get a call. All right, check with your path office, Roxanne.
And just also verify whether she was provisionally approved, because if you are not provisionally approved or borderline, then there is no follow-up unless you have made an appeal.
Yes.
All right. Simone wants to know if her child graduates from school and wants to go to art school, if path still help for art school. Is there any restriction as to what continuing study?
Absolutely no arts, as in like the Edna Manley School. Ask her to clarify if she is making reference.
Clarify, Simone. I'm only aware of Edna, but you can, if there's another, you can let us know. All right. Sheila wants to add her 1-year-old son. How do we go about adding?
So she would need to take his birth certificate and visit the parish office to just advise of the addition to the family.
All right, Sheila, and others who might have wanted to ask that question. All right, Carrie-Ann said his mom handed in the form and was told she'll get a call. All right, follow up with the path office, Carrie-Ann. Follow up with the path office for that one. Let's take some more. We have a long list here, so which is good. They're here to learn. So the child is on path. When that child is ready to sit 60, or it's the same question, how many subjects that child? So we'll get some additional clarity on that and put it in the blog. Latoya tried to get on path. Find out why you didn't get on, Latoya. All right, over on Instagram, Mr. Universe is saying that the parent can also register the child for the Jamaica Council Persons with Disability too. All right, in line with what you were sharing earlier, Lady Morris. All right, Ms. Francis, what if the child is out of school because of health issues? Can a doctor's report as to why the child is absent help in any way?
Yes.
Yes, we had indicated that earlier. All right. All right, let's continue. They are coming in fast and furious. All right.
I wanted to while you're doing that, Ms. Morris mentioned the matter of appeal. So if you are marginal, you are informed by our office that you can appeal and indicate that you want us to reconsider your application if you are not automatically or provisionally approved for the program. So there's an appeal process. Just wanted to emphasize that.
All right, that's great information. Brenda, this looks like you need to check with your bank to see what's happening.
And just a clarification there, read the key card. If the key card is taken by the machine and it is reported, we sometimes do have some delays with our service provider, but in those instances, the client is reverted to check payment until the key card issues have been resolved.
All right, so Brenda should check in with our local office. Is that what you're saying, Ms. Morris?
Yes, she
should.
Okay. Check in with the office. Just ensure that she reports on the issues with the key card, and she should be reverted to check payment.
All right. Owen said that there are he has two outstanding payments because his card expired. He went to the office and still waiting, going 2 years now. Oh.
That is not a typical case because we do the refunds. Again, it would perhaps help if we had further information so we could check to see what's happening.
All right. All right, Owen and the others that needs to provide additional information, what's the best point of contact for them to reach out? Is there an email that the ministry that they could send to, or to their local office? Ms. Morris?
We usually advise persons to visit the local office, but we do have a contact center. CTD, you remember the number for the contact center? We do have a contact center. Before we leave, I will let you have the number for the contact center.
All right. Yes, we need to get that number so that they can, for some of these matters that might need to be escalated, that they could pass it on there. All right. Cleopatra applied about 3 times and did not get through. All right. Wow.
So I want to address that situation of persons saying they applied and are not getting through. As I said earlier, there is a comprehensive social protection mechanism. PATH is but one of our programs. Therefore, if the person is applying and is not getting through because the system is doing, the matrix is running and is saying, well, you don't qualify for that constant intervention. We have other interventions. So we have micro business grants. We have other training interventions, on-the-job training interventions. So it is not only PATH. maybe you should have further discussions with the social worker or the persons in the office to say, how else can we assist you with the challenge that you might be having or the particular vulnerability? So there might be need for further engagement if you keep applying and you're not getting onto path.
All right. Cleopatra, please take that up. Check in. Shadeen says that, for instance, the school fee is for $20,000. Should children on path pay the same amount because she has to pay the same because the principal says so? Shadeen, is it a private school? The same question from earlier. All right. Ms. Francis, what about the elderly? Can they too be beneficiaries?
Yes, there is a category for elderly persons, 60 years up to 75. Once you get to 75, we also have a social pension program for persons who are 75 and older who are not getting a pension. Otherwise, not on the NIS, then you, if you're on path, after 75, you move over to social pension. If you are 75 and older, you can apply directly to the for the social pension program.
All right. All right, Keneal, that answers your question as well about your 69-year-old grandfather. And just in case you missed the forum with the National Health Fund, that's another benefit right there. So you can search for that in the Community Corner playlist and see what you need to do to get the additional benefit for your senior family members. All right, let's see. Amy, not clear on your question. System need to change. What about person who lives at people's house? Not so clear on that.
Yes, I'm not clear.
Not clear on that, Amy. Clarify so we can get your response. Good night, Dr. Lavelle. Thank you for tuning in as always. All right, Brenda, this question was answered earlier. Yes, you can get back the money. Check in with your local path office. Carrie Ann, how do we go about the person who received the check is sick and need to turn it over to someone else? How does that one work?
Oh, so there is always the option to go back to the parish office and elect a new family representative. That is the person who will be collecting. So they just need to take the necessary identification and go into the parish office to advise of the situation, and a new person can be assigned as the family representative.
All right. So are you okay now, Brenda? She says she did check and it's over 6 months. Is that it took over 6 months to get the card? Let us know if you're okay now. I'm just concerned about the length of time. Amy, when registering, if one does not score a 40 or so, they don't qualify. We addressed this earlier, Amy. What about persons who don't own those necessities for life and are dwelling of family members? Oh, this was a question she clarified from earlier. They're living with family. Not hearing.
So what is the question?
All right, she wants to know for those who are living with family. This was a question earlier that was incomplete. If they too can benefit from PATH.
Absolutely, but as we said, the CTD explained earlier that we look at the consumerables, and therefore there are some persons by virtue of their particular circumstances who might have to automatically ask for the appeal so that that human element can be introduced, where a social worker will come and verify those type of circumstances, and the committee will be able to consider those circumstances. So for some exceptions, you will have to use the appeals process.
All right, Amy, I hope you get some results there. All right, Shadeen is responding to say that it's not a private school. How can she get some redress on this one? She needs to reach out and indicate with school.
While we're not the Ministry of Education, we're aware that those auxiliary fees ought not to be compulsory. A child should not be kept out of school because they're unable to pay those fees. So that is something that I think should be taken up with the Ministry of Education, because a child ought not to be denied education benefits because they're unable to pay school fee, the auxiliary fees. And I just to say, I'm seeing here the contact center number is 922-8000, and I think that goes all the way up to 13-800-01, all the way up to 13.
All right. Let's take this one from Karen McPherson. My child stopped receiving the money, but still get the lunch benefits. How is that?
So, Miss McPherson, that is something that would require you to visit with the parish office, because it could be that if the child changed school and we did not receive the school information, that could be one explanation as to why the child is not receiving a benefit. But you say the child is on the list that is provided to the school and is receiving the lunch. So this is something that you would have to make a query at your local office so that they can advise of what is happening here. But certainly if the child is on the school list, then the child ought to be receiving the benefit.
All right. Brenda, this was answered earlier. If the card is, you don't have the card, you get a check, you want to know if you get back all the monies. But that's question earlier about the 6 months that the card is not accessing the machine or taking at the machine.
So if it is the key card, they will get the monies. If it is the key card, CTD is having challenges with her mic. She says she's not being heard. But we also got the clarification from the Ministry of Education. It says the Ministry of Education will pay up to 8 CXC subjects to PATH students, but they have to maintain an average of 55% and up. And they benefit from both exam fees and the entry fee.
Right, I hope you got that. So there's no excuse not to get those subjects done. Just have to put in the work. Hello, Edubuzz Jamaica. Thank you for tuning in. Zenixia Morgan, that question was answered earlier. Watch the replay or check out our blog post on Monday. As I'm talking about the Heart Academy School at Ebony Park, my son is doing CXC and want to attend one after CXC. Oh, the Heart, does the path cover the Heart? But Heart is free.
So Heart is free, but one thing to note here in relation to PATH beneficiaries and Heart. Once you're a PATH beneficiary and you attend Heart, and this was even before Heart is free, we not only pay the fees and provide the gear and equipment, but we also pay a weekly stipend. So once you're a PATH beneficiary and you apply for Heart, it should be noted on your Heart application form. If you are already enrolled and you did not note it, once we identify that you are a PATH beneficiary and you're at Heart, because we do have a memorandum of understanding. That's one of our steps to work benefits. we support you through that process with a weekly stipend. We provide for your equipment and your protective gear also.
No excuse not to be engaged, right? Eddie was just joining, need to find out what benefits are available for someone who is younger than 70 and doesn't have a pension. We did indicate earlier that they can be on path, correct? They can apply for the path, and once they reach 70,
75.
75?
Yes, once they get to 75, they will be able to get onto the social pension.
All right. If the child has brain trauma and seizures, can she still be on path? Not so sure about this question, Yashida. Is it that because of the condition the child is not meeting the 85%? Let us know so we can get you the
Or
response.
is it that she's asking, is the child now considered a person with a disability? Because in that case, the child would be able to benefit under the category of persons with disabilities once it is verified by a medical practitioner, a doctor.
All right. Carrie-Ann's mom did all these things you mentioned. All right, just follow up, Carrie-Ann. Just keep following up to make sure you get the response, or call the support number that was shared earlier.
Or if she could provide her information, and we would also do an investigation and get back to her once we get back into office. So she can provide her information if she says she has been reaching out to the parish office and has not been getting the desired answers to the issues she's having.
All right. All right, Eddie Buzz, thank you so much. You'll pass the information on and share the link. All right, he says, great job, ladies. All right, so we are happy to facilitate so you can get some additional responses, and trust that these responses will be able to benefit others. So you can watch the replay. The replay will remain, the video, the same link will be there, so you can watch at your leisure. And also the recap will be done to put it into a much more edible format so that you can see the questions and the responses. I'll do my best to get that done so you can have like frequently asked questions and the responses from our specialists from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, so that you can have that and share the link so others can benefit from it. All right, ladies, really fantastic job. I'm really happy to be able to facilitate this kind of conversation. And I trust that the community will be able to get clearer on some of these gray areas, and no longer think, leaving here, you should no longer think that if you have flush toilet and a refrigerator, then you're not able to benefit. Go on in, do the assessment, submit your application, and let the social workers do the verification. And remember, just mention that you can appeal. All right, we'll take this last one, Hortense. I know of a young man who is on path and his aunt collect the money. I don't think he's getting what he is to get. That sounds like you need to get some intervention from
the parish office.
Right.
Visit at the parish office and let them investigate.
Shorna Lee, is there age limit for heart? Trying to remember, that was shared. We had heart on some time ago, but you can check with the heart location, Shorna Lee. We don't want to give you any misinformation here. What benefits, additional benefits, Ms. Burke? What about the benefits that the government talk about? I don't hear about it. We're talking about PATH. What else on PATH were you looking to hear about? Let us know. Pleasure, Simone. Thanks, you guys, for talking to us. Have a wonderful night. All right, Natalia. All right, we have a couple more minutes before we wrap up. All right, Yannick is on path, but she can't get her son on. What would cause that? If it's the same Yannick Pusey that I know, single mother.
So that is if she has visited the parish office and she's still having these challenges, that's another one that we would want you to get the contact information so we can do our own investigation to see why her son is not getting on the program.
All right. So for those who need additional guidance, information, checks to be done, let me share WhatsApp number in the comments so you can send the name and telephone number so I can pass it on. All right, let me get that in there. The Serenity Resource Connector. All right, so that's the WhatsApp for those on Facebook and YouTube. That's the WhatsApp number that you can send your telephone number and your name to, and I'll pass it on to the ministry for them to look into it further for you. All right. Let me see what. Good night, everyone. I applied for PATH and I didn't get through. They're going to verify over 3 years now. All right. The parish office. So, okay, we indicated earlier, checking back with the parish office, or feel free to send your number over and your name, and we'll have the team check on it for you. All right, ladies, let me thank you ever so much. Minister called in for backup, and I'm really glad that you're able to make this connection here on the Serenity Resource Connector. And I see someone mentioned here, they're hoping to hear about NIS, and they're asking about, all right, that's a whole other area. So we're gonna have to bring you back. We wanted to make sure that we did not put too many areas in the 1 hour so that we can properly address the questions that you have. All right, so we're going to have to keep this connection going, Team MLSS, so that we can address the NIS component to answer those questions. All right. So,
and we want to remind Winsome that we are in the process of reviewing and reforming PATH. So we still welcome persons, the recommendations and the comments to guide us as we seek to reform. I know Minister wouldn't want me to leave here without reminding that we are in the process of reviewing and reforming the program. So give us your recommendations. We welcome them.
right. So the conversation doesn't stop here. So keep those comments going. You can share your feedback, your recommendations on YouTube, and I will pass them on to the ministry so that we can work together to get what exactly it is we want PATH to look like,
Yes.
as we help to shape the path to take our citizens from one level to the next so that we can be richer in spirit and in pocket. All right. It's my pleasure, as always, to serve you. Thank you, Minister, for making the time to be here earlier. And this is awesome, you know, and this is good practice for those who are operating businesses. You need to get a team like this where you can step aside and they will make sure that everything gets done well. All right, amazing team at MLSS. Awesome. So thank you all for joining us tonight for this enlightening discussion on PATH. And happy that we were able to create this space that you could ask your questions and get them answered live here. A special thanks to the Honourable Pearnel Charles Jr., Mrs. Audrey Dear Williams, and Ms. Suzette Morris for sharing invaluable insights and answering all our questions, even those that we asked 2 or 3 times. Thank you for your patience. We hope that you're leaving with a better understanding of how PATH can support you and your family, and that you don't keep the information to yourself, as I usually ask, but share it. Because remember, knowledge is power. So let's use it to uplift our communities. Don't forget to share this session with others who might benefit, and subscribe and stay connected with Serenity Resource Connector for more empowering forums. All right, so coming up next Tuesday, we're starting a new series in collaboration with the Early Childhood Commission on Child Rights. The entire series for 12 months on 3rd Tuesday, so you want to tune in for that. And of course, we have our local governance segment coming up next Thursday, so you can hear some more, learn some more about the committees at the municipal corporation and ask your questions. All right, ladies, gentlemen, have yourself a fantastic rest of the night. It is always a pleasure to facilitate these awesome engagements to make you more empowered so that we can build stronger communities. All right, have yourself a fantastic rest of the night. The SRC Community Corner Live Forum is brought to you on 3rd Thursdays at 8 p.m. Visit our website at www.serenityresourceconnector.com and subscribe to receive our weekly blog post. Join us again on Tuesday at 8 p.m. for a Child Rights series with the Early Childhood Commission. Thank you for watching.